Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic.
So it's been a really wet month so far.
Yeah, no kidding. It's pouring rain. Well, not really pouring. It's kind of just like lightly mauling the city with water.
We have this is what, our second beginning of the year here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we moved in May, then once to January, now second time to January. Yeah. So the first time around, it was cold during this month, like really cold. But we knew that from like when we came here for the soccer tournament. Remember how cold it was, and it was like mid-January?
Yeah, I distinctly remember standing in that park, that park where that last soccer game was, and multiple of the people on the soccer team, parents, teasing me because they knew I was Canadian, and I was shivering.
Yeah, it was cold. And it was cold here, but we didn't get a ton of rain.
I didn't bring any of my winter clothes when I moved from Canada because I moved to California. Who needs winter clothes in California?
But we didn't get any rain last year, like in January like this.
Not really.
It's been a lot of rain. I mean, while we were sick, it was raining.
Yeah.
It's been raining all day today, like nonstop.
There's 4 days of winter storms hitting California. So.
And like,
we're getting the rainy edges.
Well, but it's been raining. It rained Saturday. It rained Sunday. Now today.
Yeah.
It's raining a lot.
It's supposed to continue until Tuesday.
So I hear you have something for us to talk about.
I do. I found us an Am I the Asshole?
Oh, these are always fun.
And
so hold on before we start. Let's explain how it works, because not everybody's heard it before.
Well,
she finds these and she's read it, but I have not read it. I don't even know what it's called. I know it's about inheritance because I asked, because I was going to try to tie it in, but never mind. But our job is to listen, and I'll ask questions or interject during, but then at the end, I get to decide who's the asshole. She gets to decide who's the asshole, and then we discuss it.
I chose this one because there was quite an argument in the comments about whether or not this person is the asshole. Like, it seems split 50-50. So those ones are always good. Alrighty. Am I the asshole for not including my son's adopted child in my will? Now you know.
So your adopted grandchild? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife and I are in our 60s. We are thinking of retiring soon, and we are trying to get our finances and everything we own in order. For example, we're finally selling our old house because it's too big and we don't need it. We want to live in a quieter place in a smaller house. We have 3 kids, all adults by now. Each of our kids have their own kids as well. We have a daughter with 1 child, a son with 2, and another son with 2 biological children and an adopted daughter. Our youngest son was married about 10 or so years ago. He cheated on his wife and they got divorced. He cheated with his current wife, then he adopted her daughter. We want to divide our estate between our children and our grandchildren. We had a family gathering to talk about some of these things, especially the house, in case any of our children wanted to buy it themselves. Our son got very angry when he heard that we're cutting off his adopted child from the will. We told him she's not our family and we don't support his life choices and how he ruined his family. He told us to stop holding a grudge for something that happened a decade ago and accept the child or cut him and his family off. My wife and I think that his new wife and the child are living proof of him ruining his family. Do you think we are wrong in this? She is a child, and he's right that she's quote-unquote his, but does that automatically make her our family? He said we're treating his wife and daughter poorly, and we're acting like assholes towards the kid. The stepdaughter and the adopted daughter are the same girl. My son married her mother and then adopted her. So, to clarify some things, they've added some comments at the bottom. The girl was 1 or 2 years old when my son and his mother started their relationship. We don't see or talk to each other very often, only during family gatherings. They live in another state, and she doesn't call us her grandparents. What each of our kids are getting is family heirlooms, not money. All the money will be distributed between our grandkids in our will, and to hopefully help them get their education paid for. My son doesn't have contact with his ex-wife or his biological children. He cut them off and didn't even want to pay child support. My wife and I helped our daughter-in-law and our grandchildren. To make it clear, what my son is getting from us is some photos and some items from his childhood that we keep. It's essentially quote-unquote trash, but we like to look at them every once in a while to remember our kids' childhoods. He isn't getting any money or jewelry. Yeah, that's it. Then they
I
just
don't know
repeated
why
themselves.
any of that last part matters.
So, are they the asshole?
Well, I've been wrestling with this as you speak about it because, I mean, my first thought, because it evolves as the story evolves, my first thought was, all right, are you giving your biological grandchildren money? Because if you are, you should be treating the adopted grandchild like a biological grandchild, period, the end. That's just how it should be. But then I heard the story about how he wound up with this adopted child, and my mind for I'm not even talking a long time, for like a split second went, oh, never mind, they're in the right, until I realized that they basically are deciding that because they don't like a decision that he made, that they're going to completely treat the new wife and the new daughter like they're crap and they don't exist. So that started to lean me back towards, yeah, these people are the fucking asshole, because you're not only you're basing your whole thing on, or are we right? Well, you know what? If I was going to be judgmental, yeah, you probably are right. He probably shouldn't have been banging somebody else and then leaving his wife to be with someone he was banging. Okay, he probably shouldn't have. But who the hell? We don't know the story behind their marriage and what happened and what issues they had, etc. We don't know any of it. For all we know, they both got pregnant when they were 15, and that's why they got married. And then later he cheated on her. That's normal, I think. It's going to happen. I would expect it to happen, because they got married under not so great circumstances. But we don't know the story, so we can't really judge,
You're right. All you know is that he abandoned his 2 biological children and refused to pay child support.
Right. And that part is really, really, really terrible. But again, why are his parents judging the new wife and the daughter because of decisions their son made? This bothers me. So, I mean, there's a lot of assholeness to the son. There just is. But we're not asking, is he an asshole for not paying child support and ignoring his biological kids and divorcing his wife to go screw around with his affair partner? We're not asking that question, because he's definitely an asshole for that. 100%. But I mean, what part of this would make him an asshole, that he thinks they should treat her like a grandchild?
I don't think he's the asshole.
What I'm just saying, but what part would you think even makes him the asshole? Most stories, it's real clear. Two people got into a disagreement and said things to each other, and so now you can easily pick left or right guy is the one who's the asshole. In this case, I'm asking myself, what could he have even done to be an asshole? Literally say, oh, I think you should treat my adopted daughter as your biological grandchild? That's not a terrible thing to request. And that's the only way I could see him having an issue.
So, you're good. It's my turn.
I think that ultimately his parents are the asshole, and probably the dad is the asshole, because I think the mom is one of those old-fashioned moms who, oh, my husband said we're going to do this, so she's going to go along, because most mothers won't cut off a grandchild, period, the end.
I'm going with there's no assholes in this situation.
Yeah, I can't agree with that.
Do you want to know why?
Sure.
There's
of course, I always want to know
one simple fact that leads me to there's no assholes. They have hardly any contact with this kid, and she doesn't call them her grandparents.
Well, but and I know what crossed my mind I get you there. I do. What crossed my mind when I heard that was, could it be that because you're so damn judgmental about how he got with them in the first place, that it's your fault you have no relationship with her?
Totally possible, but I think...
Which then makes them the asshole.
I think from the facts given...
Well, no, I was going to say, but...
we have to assume they have no real relationship with this kid.
Well, I was going to say, it's exactly like the situation with the son.
Right.
And not being able to judge him. We don't know enough. We would need to know whose fault it is that they don't have a relationship. Like, did they just stop communicating with their son because of, what they disapproved of what happened? Maybe. Who knows? But we don't know.
But then they're an asshole for a different reason that has nothing to do with this, just like you said with the son. Exactly.
Right. So
I have to sit in that there's no assholes here
yeah, I still stick by I think they're the asshole.
That's fine.
I think the dad's the asshole. I think the mom just follows along, and I think it's kind of ironic because probably the dad's argument is that the woman isn't a very good woman if she allowed him to abandon his biological children. But hey, what kind of a parent are you that your son abandoned his biological children?
It strikes me as one of those situations where they should have found something that has been in their house forever that really doesn't mean as much to them as some of the other things that they'll be leaving to the other grandchildren, because they said it's heirlooms, not money.
Mm-hmm.
And just left that to her.
But they said they were going to give cash to the grandchildren
for paying for their college.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but they're specifically said the inheritance they're discussing is heirlooms.
And okay, let me ask you a question. Why should So if one of my children suddenly stopped calling me dad and just called me Mike, should I just say they're not my son or daughter?
It implies that there's no relationship there.
But see,
and I know I'm saying this as a person who calls her father Russell.
But here's the interesting thing. You're making a judgment that it implies there's no relationship there, but you don't know that. But yet you're refusing to make a different judgment because you, quote, don't know enough. That's kind of an interesting quandary. That seems a little inconsistent to me.
I don't know. If one of your kids, you hardly ever saw them, and then they didn't really have a relationship with you and started calling you Mike, and you cut them out of your will, I don't think I would judge you.
No, I don't. It's still my kid.
Now, one thing to remind you about is that I'm coming at this from the perspective of being the grandchild that was not left the same things as other grandchildren because I was adopted.
Yeah, but we've talked about that, and I know how you felt about that. Yeah. And that's why it's kind of surprising that you're taking the stance you're taking here at all.
I think the difference for me is that it's heavily implied that they don't have a relationship with this kid.
But the problem with that is it's heavily vacant of any information about why they don't have a relationship or whose fault it is. Because there's so many options. It could be that the mother won't allow it because she knows that they're judgmental towards her.
It's totally possible.
Could be that they're just judgmental towards her and don't deal with it. Because come on, we all know that when you want to, you can make it happen. How many times have we gone back to California and have the kids come from California to here? I mean, We've seen each other about as probably, other than Mitchell, who probably would have lived with us, we've seen the other one about as much as we would have if we lived there.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to make our choice.
It's possible if everybody wants the relationship to happen.
Right, we make an effort. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Someone somewhere in that group of adults,
is an asshole.
Adults, is a giant turd.
I'm just not necessarily willing to commit to it being grandpa. That's
fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think that one, like I said, if I were to have you read that story again and I were to interject my thoughts every step of the way, I was going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and then over to their side, then a little further over to their side, and then 1 degree back this way again. It was like I fluctuated a lot.
The solution really was what I said, though. Find something heirloomy you can leave to this kid. And just avoid the drama, because they clearly don't want to cut off their son, or they would have done so
when all that stuff happened and they judged him for it.
Exactly. So
because they definitely judged him for it.
Right.
I don't know. I think you're right.
Like, it's one of those things where is the drama you're causing really worth it for that creepy looking vase you have on the mantle? Like, you know what I mean?
But my gut just still says asshole.
That's fair. We don't have to agree. We usually agree.
I mean, but here's the thing. I agree on your reasoning, and I could have gone in that direction too. But my catch is you have to, in order to believe that they're not the asshole, you have to focus on the fact that there's no relationship. but I want to know why there's no relationship, so I can't focus on the fact that there's no relationship.
Right.
You are willing to just go, well, it's heavily implied. And that's the major difference right here. And that's what's funny about it. It's a major difference. It's about as big a difference as this speck of dust right here.
So if the reasoning behind there being no relationship was the child's mother, you'd fall into my camp where there's no assholes.
Yes, because dad's not an
That's fair.
asshole because they're not allowed to talk to the kid and have a relationship with the kid. So it's mom's fault that happened. So no asshole.
Yeah. If I had to just muse on what probably happened there, the parents probably judged the son for being man-hoary and doing all the things that he did. And so that really hurt their relationship. And then there was just distance.
And my guess is that this woman always lived in another place.
Yeah.
And he moved to her.
Yeah.
Because of the rift between him and his
Right.
parents.
So my guess is it's not any fault of the kids, which is even more reason they should have found some heirloom to leave to this child. Maybe not something that's been in their family for generations upon generations. Save those for the biological grandchildren, Well,
but think about it. As far as officially meeting, the midgets just met your dad.
Yeah.
What, 6 months ago?
They're not going to call him grandpa, I hope. He wouldn't like that.
No. But the point is, they didn't, how could they possibly, how could you give them crap for not acknowledging his birthday when they don't even know him?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Totally.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. It's but there are people who are like that. They'll blame you because, you're supposed to wish them. It's your job to remember. Wait a second. I don't even know the person exists. What do I do? Go around the whole entire city and just, is it your birthday today? Is it your birthday? And knock on every fucking door? That would be stupid. And that's kind of what that infers.
Right.
You need to know everything. It's like when I used to work at the warehouse and people would come in and hum a song and you'd be like, sorry, I don't know what it is. But you work in a music store. Yeah. And I'm supposed to know the 50 billion songs that are out right now.
Interpret your poorly hummed garbage.
And then equate it to something in every music catalog. It could be the most obscure artist ever. They expect you to know it. It's stupid. It's really stupid.
You aren't Shazam. Even Shazam can't recognize cover bands as being the proper song. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Like Brandon, once in a while, he's close enough to the original that it pulls it out as the song, but I've tried so many times and Shazam doesn't Shazam.
He's we can wrap it up here, but he's got an incredible voice.
Yeah.
I was watching, I told you I was looking up all the different bands, and interestingly, the band we went to see last night or the night before, the Far Worst, when there's a video of them a year ago at the dive bar, and they had a sheet, big white sheet with painted on the Far Worst, and she was a little chunkier in the legs. It was just weird to see. And they had a dude playing bass. And then the guitar player that we had already seen, the one that's gone now.
Wow.
And then I looked up Velvet Elvis and saw some old Velvet Elvis from way, way back when Rocky looked like, I don't know, she looked like a little girl. And John looked like a baby. He was just crazy.
That's
but
funny.
then there's a video of them. I can't remember what song it was, but they're all dressed up almost like either the B-52s, no, because they don't have the big hair, but they have weird hats on and strangely colored clothing and big giant glasses and stuff. It was the most ridiculous thing for a Halloween show.
Weird.
So I went down a rabbit hole and
you're a strange person.
It was kind of fun. Well, I was bored sitting there, and every single video is, there's another body cam video. Oh, there's another one.
Great. Now we can go finish Breaking Bad.
Yeah, we're only 2 episodes out.
Yeah.
I think we're actually only 1 episode out now.
You said 2 yesterday when you turned it off.
That's right. We were starting the first one, and then there was one.
So
more.
prepare yourselves, people, because we're going to go into our deep analysis of Breaking Bad one of these days.
we have some interesting commentary on the characters and how they develop. So maybe we'll do a series of episodes about that at some point.
Rad.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.